Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. How many times have you felt disrespected, dismissed, or undervalued, and stayed silent? How many times have you allowed someone else's behavior to define your worth? The truth is, people will treat you exactly how you let them. Every ignored boundary, every unspoken expectation, every time you settle for less sends a message louder than any words. Today, we're going to uncover the secret to taking back control, to commanding respect, and to teaching the world how to treat you, not by demanding it, but by showing them what is acceptable. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with a simple but profound truth. People will treat you how you let them. Think about that for a moment. Every interaction you have, every relationship you maintain, every environment you step into, it's shaped by the boundaries you set, the standards you hold, and the respect you demand, not from them, but from yourself. We often underestimate the power of our own behavior. We assume that others will naturally treat us with the fairness, kindness, and respect we deserve. But the reality is, people mirror the signals we give them. If we tolerate disrespect, if we allow our time to be undervalued, if we excuse behavior that diminishes us, we're essentially teaching the world how to treat us. And conversely, when we stand firm, when we communicate our value, when we insist on integrity and dignity, people respond. They adjust, they meet the standard we set. Think about leadership. True leaders don't command respect with fear or authority. They command respect by setting expectations and modeling behavior. The people around them quickly learn what is acceptable and what is not. The same applies to every relationship in your life. The colleague who constantly interrupts you, the friend who only calls when they need something, the partner who dismisses your feelings. How you respond in these moments signals the boundaries of how you will be treated. It begins with self-awareness. Are you clear about your values? Are you clear about what you deserve? Because clarity is contagious. When you are clear about your worth, you stop negotiating for less. You stop excusing behaviors that undermine you. You stop bending over backward to gain approval or acceptance. And here's the fascinating part. When you do that, people don't resent you. They respect you. They respect you because you respect yourself first. Now, this doesn't mean you're harsh or unapproachable. It means you're intentional. It means you choose where to invest your energy and attention. You don't waste your time trying to fix people who are unwilling to fix themselves. You don't allow someone else's insecurities, fears, or poor decisions to dictate your own sense of self-worth. You treat others with kindness, but you also treat yourself with unwavering dignity. Here's the secret that most people miss. The way people treat you is rarely about you. It's about the standard you set. If you accept less than you deserve, you are teaching others that it's acceptable to give you less. If you allow yourself to be interrupted, dismissed, or undervalued, you are giving a silent permission for it to continue. And the moment you stop tolerating it, the moment you make the conscious choice to uphold your own value, the world shifts around you. People adjust because they recognize they cannot take you for granted any longer. The challenge, of course, is courage. It's not easy to say no when everyone else says yes. It's not easy to enforce boundaries when it might upset someone. But every time you stand firm, every time you act from a place of self-respect, you are creating a ripple effect. You're teaching the people around you how to interact, how to honor, and ultimately, how to lead themselves with integrity. And let's not overlook the long-term impact. When you consistently demand respect for yourself, you inspire others to do the same. You become a model of how to live intentionally, how to navigate relationships without compromise to one's core values. People don't just treat you better, they begin to treat themselves better because they see what is possible when you refuse to settle for less. Now, consider this: every relationship you have, every interaction is a reflection of the expectations you communicate both explicitly and implicitly. When you let people cross your boundaries, even just once, you are sending them a message. And the message is loud and clear. This is how you can treat me. You might think, but I don't mean to send that message. Yet every human interaction carries unspoken rules, and people instinctively read them. The way you respond, or fail to respond becomes the template for future behavior. It's also important to realize that people will test you, not because they are cruel, but because they are conditioned to explore limits. Every time someone pushes against your boundaries, it's a test of how firmly you understand and hold your own value. If you flinch, if you give in, the pattern is established and it repeats. But when you stand firm, when you respond from clarity and integrity, something remarkable happens. People learn that your boundaries are not negotiable, and they begin to respect them. Over time, this creates an environment of mutual understanding and respect, where relationships are no longer about dominance or manipulation, but about authenticity and honor. The world will always try to define your worth for you. Social pressures, cultural norms, the opinions of family, friends, and colleagues, they all have ideas of who you should be, how you should behave, and how much you should tolerate. And if you are not intentional, if you are not self-aware, you will unconsciously accept these definitions. You will allow others to set the terms of how you are treated. But when you take control of your own narrative, when you decide what is acceptable and what is not, you reclaim your agency. You decide how people interact with you, and you decide the kind of energy you allow into your life. One of the most powerful realizations you can have is this: respect is not something you ask for. It is something you command through action. It is earned not only by your accomplishments, but by the way you refuse to compromise on your core values. When you make it clear, without anger or aggression, that certain behaviors are unacceptable, you establish a standard, and when people see you consistently uphold that standard, it inspires confidence, loyalty, and admiration. They may not always like it at first. They may resist, but over time they adapt because they recognize that you are unwavering, and they understand the cost of trying to diminish your worth. It's also worth noting that boundaries are not just about protection. They are about opportunity. By defining how people can treat you, you free yourself to engage with those who elevate you. You stop wasting time on relationships that drain you, conversations that belittle you, and environments that stifle you. You start investing your energy where it matters, with people who honor you, respect your time, and recognize your contribution. The better you get at enforcing your standards, the more you attract those who align with your vision, your energy, and your values. And here's the paradox: when you refuse to tolerate mistreatment, you become more compassionate, not less. You develop clarity, not rigidity. You understand that people behave the way they do because of their own limitations, insecurities, and fears. But you also recognize that you are not responsible for accommodating them at the expense of your own dignity. Standing firm doesn't make you cold, it makes you intentional. It creates a life where interactions are meaningful, where trust is earned, and where respect is the default, not the exception. Finally, consider the long-term effects of this mindset. When you teach people how to treat you, you are shaping not just your immediate environment, but the culture you exist within. You are creating ripples of influence that extend beyond your own life. Others observe how you hold yourself, and they learn the value of self-respect. They learn the courage it takes to demand fair treatment. They learn that it is possible to live authentically, without compromise, without fear of rejection. Every choice you make, every moment you assert your value, is an investment in the quality of your life. The world will always try to push against you, but the people who matter, the people who are aligned with your purpose and vision, will rise to meet the standards you set. And that standard begins with you. You decide the terms, you define the boundaries. You show the world what is acceptable, and in doing so, you teach yourself and everyone around you the power of self-respect and intentional living. Now imagine the impact on your life when you fully embrace this principle. When you stop tolerating behavior that undermines your worth, you start to notice patterns you were previously blind to. You see who truly values you and who doesn't. You see who elevates your life and who drains it. And this awareness is not about judgment, it's about clarity. Clarity is a form of power. When you know the boundaries you will not compromise, you become an unstoppable force because your decisions are no longer swayed by fear, guilt, or obligation. Think about the energy it takes to constantly explain yourself, to justify your feelings, your time, your choices. That energy is drained when you allow people to treat you in ways that are disrespectful or dismissive. But when you make a conscious decision to uphold your value, you reclaim that energy. You redirect it toward growth, toward building meaningful relationships, toward creating impact. Every yes that doesn't compromise your dignity becomes a source of strength. Every no that protects your boundaries becomes a declaration of self-respect. And as you do this consistently, people begin to notice. They sense your confidence, your clarity, your unwillingness to settle, and they adjust. Here's an important nuance. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you have to be confrontational. It doesn't mean you have to burn bridges or create conflict. It means you communicate your expectations clearly and consistently, and you follow through on them. When someone tests those boundaries, your response teaches them the lesson. It might be a gentle correction, a calm assertion, or simply a withdrawal of your time and attention. The key is consistency. People respond to patterns, not occasional statements. They notice what you tolerate, and they adapt to it. Now consider how this principle shapes leadership, not just in business, but in life. Leaders who understand this create environments where respect and accountability are the norm, not the exception. They inspire trust because their actions match their words. People follow them not out of fear or obligation, but out of admiration and recognition of their integrity. And here's the critical point. This same leadership applies to your personal life. You are the leader of your own existence. How people treat you is a reflection of how well you lead yourself. When you set high standards for treatment, you are leading by example. You are showing others what is possible when someone refuses to accept less than they deserve. It's also essential to understand that people will react differently when you start enforcing your boundaries. Some will resist. They might feel challenged or uncomfortable because they are accustomed to the old dynamic. Others will step up. They will recognize your strength and rise to meet it. This is not a test of popularity. It's a test of integrity. Your responsibility is not to make everyone comfortable. Your responsibility is to live authentically, with clarity and conviction, so that your life reflects the value you place on yourself. The beauty of this approach is that it scales. Every boundary you set, every standard you uphold, creates a ripple effect. You attract relationships that honor your principles, you cultivate opportunities that align with your vision, and you build a life that reflects the respect you demand not just from others, but from yourself. This is how you move from a life dictated by circumstance to a life designed by intention. You are no longer reacting to the world, you are shaping it, one interaction, one decision, one boundary at a time. And finally, understand this. Enforcing the way people treat you is not a sign of arrogance or ego. It is a mark of self-respect, courage, and wisdom. It is a recognition that your time, your energy, and your presence are valuable. The moment you internalize that, everything changes. You stop settling. You stop compromising your dignity for approval. You stop bending to the expectations of others. You start living intentionally, boldly, and unapologetically. And in doing so, you teach the world a lesson far greater than any words could convey, that respect begins with you, and how you allow others to treat you defines the trajectory of your life. Let's go deeper into what it really means to let people treat you how you let them. Every single day, in ways big and small, we give signals, often unconsciously, about what is acceptable. When someone interrupts you in a meeting and you smile and nod, when someone takes credit for your work and you stay silent, when someone repeatedly disrespects your time or your ideas and you don't speak up, you are teaching them a lesson. The lesson is that it is okay to treat you that way, and here's the uncomfortable truth. They will keep doing it because behavior is shaped by reinforcement. People respond to consequences or the lack thereof. If you never reinforce your value, no one else will either. This is why self-respect is not optional. It is foundational. It is not a nice-to-have personality trait. It is the core of how you interact with the world. When you respect yourself, you automatically communicate it to others. You don't have to be loud or aggressive. Your behavior alone conveys a powerful message. People sense it immediately. They know when you are confident in your worth, and they adjust their approach accordingly. Respect is contagious because it is rooted in authenticity. People are drawn to clarity and consistency because it is easier to interact with someone who knows themselves than with someone who constantly negotiates their value. One of the most important skills you can develop is the ability to pause before responding. In those moments when someone disrespects you, challenges your boundaries, or tries to push you into a corner, take a breath. Reflect, ask yourself, am I reinforcing this behavior by how I react, or am I setting a standard? This small pause gives you control. It allows you to respond intentionally rather than react emotionally, and intentional responses are the only way to teach the world how to treat you. When your reactions are thoughtful and consistent, people begin to recognize that they cannot manipulate, dismiss, or take advantage of you. This principle applies not just to people in your immediate circle, but to every layer of interaction in your life: colleagues, clients, friends, family, even strangers. Every interaction is an opportunity to reinforce how you are treated, and every interaction is a reflection of how well you understand your own value. You see, it's not about power over others. It's about power over yourself. The way you respond to behavior you don't accept is the clearest statement of your integrity and self-worth. There will be resistance, there always is. Some people will challenge your boundaries because they are uncomfortable with change, or they are used to the old dynamics. They might accuse you of being difficult or inflexible. They might try to provoke guilt or manipulate your sense of obligation. But this is exactly the moment that separates those who lead their lives from those who drift through them. It is in these moments of resistance that your character is forged. How you respond calmly, confidently, without aggression teaches them, and more importantly teaches you, that your value is non-negotiable. It's also critical to remember that setting boundaries is a gift, not just to yourself, but to others. By clarifying how you expect to be treated, you remove ambiguity. You give people the opportunity to rise to the occasion or to step aside. You create a world where interactions are honest, intentional, and meaningful. You stop wasting time and energy on relationships that drain you, and you start investing in those that elevate you. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You start living in a state of alignment with your values, and people respond accordingly. The final piece of this principle is consistency. It is not enough to occasionally enforce your boundaries. You must be unwavering. People will test you repeatedly, and if you yield even once, the lesson is lost. But if you hold firm every time, they internalize it. They learn that your self-respect is non-negotiable, and over time, this consistency becomes your reputation. You become someone who cannot be diminished, who cannot be taken for granted, and whose presence demands acknowledgement and respect. When you live this way, your life transforms. You stop chasing approval and start chasing alignment. You stop tolerating mistreatment and start cultivating value. You stop reacting to chaos and start designing your environment. And as you do, you discover a profound truth. The way people treat you is not an accident. It is a reflection of the standards you set and the boundaries you enforce. When you honor yourself, the world follows suit.